If you feel like you never have enough time to build the life you actually want, the problem probably starts earlier than you think. Here is the brutal truth. Most guys sabotage their entire day in the first hour without even realizing it. And this might sound over the top, but by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this is, but will know exactly how to create mornings that help you move the needle on building the life you want instead of drifting and self-sabotaging. My name's Eddie and I've helped hundreds of guys stop bleeding time on things like scrolling and distractions and reclaim their time to build the life they actually want. And this all starts with your mornings, and I'm going to show you 4 ways that most people get this wrong. But before getting into this, it's crucial to understand why your mornings are so key. Think of your mornings like a snowball at the top of a hill. In the first hour, the snow is soft. Your brain hasn't decided what kind of day it's going to be. So whatever you do in that window gets packed into the snowball and then it rolls. And then every hour after that, it picks up more of whatever you started with. So this means that whatever damage you do to yourself in that first hour, you carry for the rest of the day. So if you start the day calm, clear, intentional, by 11 a.m., you're already in a flow state and the day basically runs itself. But if you start the day scattered, overstimulated, reactive, by 11 a.m., you're already 3 coffees deep, switching between 10 tabs, telling yourself that you'll get things on track after lunch, but the snowball is so big at this point that this becomes a lost cause. And here's the even bigger problem with this. The snowball gets so big and out of control, but by the time the evening comes, you're running on fumes from a day that you sabotaged in the first hour. And what do? You end up turning to things like scrolling, passive entertainment, because you're so drained. And nearly every single client I've worked with had this exact pattern. Poor morning habits followed by evening collapse, and they all had at least one of these self-inflicted wounds that I'm going to walk you through now. And make sure to stay till the end of the video because the last one is almost certainly one that you don't know about. So this first one is the most obvious and is also the one that everyone underestimates how bad it's actually hurting them. It's your phone, specifically picking up your phone in the first minutes of being awake. And most guys hear this and think, yeah, I know, I don't really use my phone in the morning, whatever. And then they pick it up anyway because it feels harmless. And then maybe they check WhatsApp or email, and this easily turns into several minutes of wasted time as soon as the day started. And here's why this is a massive problem. When you wake up, your brain is in its most suggestible and sensitive state. And the first thing you feed it sets the tone for the next few hours. So when the first thing you feed your brain is with notifications, feeds, news headlines, work emails before you've even got out of bed, it doesn't go, okay, let's start the day calmly. It goes into reactive mode and then stays there. And here's where it gets even worse. The cheap dopamine hits you get from that morning scroll resets your baseline. So now everything else that day, working, focusing, reading, feels boring by comparison. So you keep reaching for your phone all day, trying to chase stimulation. This morning scroll is the first domino in a 14-hour distraction cycle, and that cycle is exactly what's eating the 4 to 5 hours a day that you say you don't have. So the fix here is so simple. Start with no phone for the first 10 minutes of the day, and then gradually add more until you reach 30 minutes, and if you can, even an hour. That is the simple fix. So the second problem, and this one splits people into 2 camps, but both end up in the same place, bleeding time that they'll never get back. So on one side, you've got the slow guys. They get up, but they drift. They take 20 minutes in the shower, sit on the toilet while scrolling, mess around in the kitchen, all while semi-distracted, and then before they know it, they've wasted an hour. On the other hand, you've got the Russian guys. The alarm goes off, they hit snooze once or twice, and then maybe scroll, and then they suddenly realize they're behind, jump out of bed in a rush, throw their clothes on, skip breakfast, and then sprint out of the door, already in the stress state before the day has even started. So I call these the drift trap and the panic trap. They look the opposite, but they do exactly the same thing to you, cause you to lose complete control of your day and build negative momentum. The drift guy often ends up moving without purpose, and then suddenly deadlines hit and ends up cramming and panicking to catch up. The Russian guy thinks that fast equals productive, but ends up firing up their cortisol so hard that they end up being tense and reactive all day and then crash hard in the evenings. This was the exact pattern I used to have. So the fix for both is the same. Build a consistent morning routine with a realistic timeline for each thing. Showering, breakfast, getting ready, and actually stick to it. Most people either have no awareness of their time in the morning or they're constantly underestimating how long things take. So a simple structure fixes both. You know what you're doing, you know how long you've got to do it, and you move through the day with purpose instead of drifting or scrambling. And if you feel like you need help actually building building a solid morning routine and making it stick, there's a link below in the description to book a call with me and we can map this out. Okay, so the third problem, and this one's so simple that it sounds stupid and you've probably heard it a million times but still aren't doing it. What is it? It's having a plan for your day. So you probably roughly know you've got a vague mental list. I should probably reply to these emails, work on this project, hit the gym, do that thing my boss asked me to do. But you actually haven't prioritized things properly or created an actual plan with designated time slots. So what ends up happening? You sit down at your desk, open your laptop, and immediately get pulled into whatever's the loudest. Slack pings, emails, the first thing someone messes you about. You spend the day reacting to other people's priorities instead of executing on your own terms. And by 6 p.m., you've answered 40 emails, attended 3 meetings, but made zero progress on the one thing that should have been your number one priority. You tell yourself you're going to do it tomorrow, but then the same thing happens. And I know that planning your day might sound boring, but it literally takes 2 minutes. And I resisted doing this for a long time. But once I started doing it, I got way more done. I felt better doing it, and then ended up having way more time and energy afterwards to do things that I enjoy. You become aware of the passage of time. You know what you have to do and how long you've got to do it, so you automatically procrastinate less. And you don't even need a calendar. I don't use a calendar. It can literally be something like this. And you may be thinking that this is generic advice, but it's in this video because it actually works. All of my clients who did this ended up saving at least 1 to 2 hours a day just with this simple fix. So number 4, so we're going to get to the one that I hinted to at the start, the one that almost no one on YouTube talks about, your nervous system. This might sound abstract, and here's what it actually means. Your nervous system is essentially your body's internal control dial, how relaxed and in control you feel. So at one end you've got calm, focused, in control, and at the other end you've got reactive, wired, scattered, anxious even. And the position of that dial first thing in the morning can often determine how your entire day feels due to the snowball effect. So what do most guys do? They wake up and immediately push that dial as far to the right as possible. Phone first thing, caffeine, inputs, or starting work straight away. At no point have they actually let their bodies come online calmly. They've gone from sleep straight into fight or flight mode, and then they stay there for the rest of the day. And here's why this is such a big problem. When your nervous system is in this wired, reactive state, your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, takes the wheel. So you're not in a mode built for focus, clear thinking, or meaningful work. You're in a subtle fight or flight mode, survival mode, scanning for threats, jumping between things. You feel reactive, on edge, and anxious for no reason. And here's the real trap. This discomfort drives you straight back into the thing that caused it. You feel wired and on edge, so you scroll because it numbs the negative sensation briefly. The poison literally becomes the painkiller. You also end up burning a lot of adrenaline, meaning that you crash in the evenings, the exact time when most guys are hoping to finally work on the things that actually matter to them. But instead the tank's empty, their brains are fried, and the path of least resistance is the sofa and passive entertainment. So you end up succumbing to this and telling yourself that tomorrow you'll get things on track. This is how guys spend months, even years, feeling like they never have enough time, when the real problem is that they're burning themselves out earlier on in the day. So what should you actually do in the evenings? Well, that's a different problem with a different solution. And if you want to learn about this, make sure to watch this video next.